Welcome one, welcome all to another Propagandacast Lehr with me, your host, Imperial Dane. Today's topic being returned here to the Shocktroopers. They have also received some changes here with the latest March deployment patch. Largely though, in terms of essence, it means the grenades are a bit more effective, but also, basically, they're considerably less bulletproof than they were previously. They're still pretty much the most armoured infantry unit in the game, but less so, and overall, the good old just charging straight at your opponent tactic is less effective. I mean, they can still probably be the one better pulling it off than others, but generally, if the Germans sort of properly focus them down, things will not end up well. So the same rules apply, sort of, you know, the same with assault grenades. You want to sort of sneak them up, choose different angles, sort of minimise the possible firing angle from your opponent so they don't shoot your men up as much as possible. Of course, they also have an advantage over them, which is the smoke grenades, which means you can block up your opponent's line of sight and get closer to them without getting shot at all. The assault grenades do not set a slight advantage. Of course, the smoke grenade possesses many other advantages, can be used to cover up other vehicles or other units, so has a few little advantages there. Also little changes, they've actually become somewhat slightly cheaper. So they are also quite handy there, but overall, with Shocktroopers right now, you should not just be attacking across open ground. That will generally end only in tears. Also note, due to the submachine guns also being changed, I mean, previously they could actually sort of do something at, I think, medium to even slightly long range, but now they're actually only effective up close. So right here, as you might be noticing, charging squad, grenadier squad, their body armor does put about the middle of a health, but ultimately are still staying there, already down to half health. Very quickly suffering down here compared to others they otherwise might have done. Although, of course, in this case, the grenadiers were a bit unfortunate. They suffered heavy loss, but at the same time, I mean, compared to how Shocktroopers previously would have done, these gentlemen suffered actually quite heavy losses. 3 man down, and the rest are not looking too good either. So there have been some quite drastic changes in Shocktroopers, and of course, then how you use them. Had the grenadiers been a bit better condition, that they perhaps pulled off or set off some rifle grenades or something like that, I mean, things probably would have looked a lot uglier for these Shocktroopers. Or had there been another grenadier squad. We do see some panzers here moving up, and now, of course, the Shocktroopers will be in a lot more trouble. Grenade in the path, and right here, I mean, of course, I'll be making a video on the panzers as well, but right here, that was a bit of a poor engagement here from Jesselyn. I mean, overall, I mean, we should have just engaged him at medium range because the panzer gunners will have the advantage there due to having assault rifles and not submachine guns that actually affect more than ranges than close. But again, that is really one also the other major changes. I mean, submachine guns on the Shocktroopers are now only good up close. Previously, they were sort of alright at other ranges, but now they're pretty much only good up close. So that is something rather important to keep in mind about your new Shocktroopers. Also, it means they're actually cheaper to enforce a bit as well, it would look like. I mean, there are a lot of changes in that department to them. So hopefully with these little thoughts there, you might have a slightly better understanding of your Shocktroopers and perhaps be able to get a bit more out of them in combat. And of course, again, to reiterate, don't just charge across open ground. Advantage using either terrain or cover to minimize the amount of fire your Shocktroopers will take during the fight. Otherwise, you might be in for a bit of a painful experience. And then again, also note, you really now have to get up close with them, which again sort of, you know, forces you to again get close, which again can expose them to more fire if you're not careful. You can't really sort of set them up at medium range and perhaps hope to win against some units. You have to get up close. So there are some things in that department you really have to take consideration of, but again, they are cheaper and they are also cheaper to enforce. That is also, you know, reasonably nice to keep in mind while using your Shocktroopers. But again, and I again will stress it, don't just charge straight at your opponent. In particular, if there are more units, since that will only end badly for your Shocktroopers. And again, use grenades, but also use smoke grenades. And again, that's really one of the things, again, they do have over their assault units. They can pop smoke on their own, meaning they can much easier close them. But again, note here, the Pioneers were swiftly sent off running there. Lots of damage there. They did not stand much of a chance there versus the Shocktroopers. I mean, they really do a lot of damage now up close as well. And again, if the Panzers let the Shocktroopers come close, again, due to the terrain here, they actually got close, they will easily overpower them. I mean, that went really fast, as you might have noticed. I mean, Shocktroopers really are powerful now. I mean, they are the toughest infantry unit in the game, but again, they have to get up close. And again, I cannot stress that enough. They have to get up close. And how you get close, of course, is the entire then in the name of the game when it comes to Shocktroopers. Getting close without taking too heavy losses. Otherwise, again, they will take quite a bit of damage, they will suffer losses. And certainly, as the Germans, if you see Shocktroopers now, getting light machine guns or other weapons sort of upgrade your grenadiers is not a bad idea. If you've got Gewehr 43s, they can also work. Just basically try as much as possible to sort of cut them down before they get close. And of course, be careful of any places where they can appear from. Otherwise, again, they will get close and they will murder you. So again, that is another thing. And again, they also pretty much the number one most durable unit in the game because they actually have infantry armor and they also have 6-man squads. So there are some things there to keep in mind with your Shocktroopers now.
Have access to KV-8 flamethrower tanks.
Overall, a brief little video again. I mean, I've already posted that point I'm missing first in the previous video, but again, I mean, still, there are some few details sort of to get close, and again, it's mostly just repeating stuff like, you know, don't just run straight at your opponent out in the open. That will end in tears. They only work up close, so you have to get close again. The trick to get close is using the terrain either by advancing through different kinds of cover or basically trying to use the terrain to use true sight to ensure your opponent can't see you until you're close. Also, use smoke. I mean, you're not just using smoke anymore to just, you know, stop the MG from suppressing you. You're also using smoke to stop the other bastards from shooting you at long range, allowing you to get closer. I mean, not a lot of players actually caught that quite onto that part yet of the Shocktroopers, but again, it's well worth pointing out. Use smoke grenades and attack to get closer with them out in the open if there's nothing else to cling on to. That will definitely also get you a lot more out of your Shocktroopers. Otherwise, again, they still got a cheap grenade, which can also be quite handy in clearing out enemy positions. So hopefully with that pointed out, people will now have a great understanding of the new Shocktroopers, how to use them and how to get the most out of them, and of course for the Germans, how to sort of deal with them. Again, the trick is fight them at range and focus all fire on them with machine guns and assault rifles and whatever. Otherwise, meaning again, you are going to run into a bit of trouble. This is Imperial Dane, though, saying cheers and see you the next time.